Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Hopefully it's welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we stand for education, inspiration, and hope. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture, episode 75, brought to you in part by the lovely, the vivacious DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, author of Harry the Camel and so many other incredible children's books and young adult. We'll be hearing more from DIANN later today in terms of her sponsorship, but we've got her backstage right now. Let's bring her out. DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, hello.
Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. Thank you. That was so kind of you.
Well, thank you for being a sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio and for being a dear friend. I really appreciate you. So, where in the world are you today, DIANN?
I am home in Texas.
Texas girl at heart. I love it. Well, we're going to hear more about what's been going on with you in your life. Let's bring out the rest of our panel. We've got Mr. Simon MacDonald. Hello.
Hello. It's lovely to be back again. Harry the Camel. I mean, I was just wondering, is Harry the Camel tied up in any way with Megan the Mule?
I didn't know there was a Megan Mule.
Well, there is now. Get writing.
You're writing somebody.
Harry came out long before he was even married.
Right, okay.
Let's welcome Mr. Ian Pelham Turner. Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's an overcast day in London. I don't know what it's like in Scotland. No doubt it's sunny because it's always sunny shining over Mr. Simon MacDonald. But I think it's a great week. There's so much going on at the moment. There's so much intrigue. I mean, the stories. This is normally in Britain what we call the silly season. So the silly season is a season when there's not a lot happening. And believe it or not, and this could be shock horror to people like yourself, TV stations start almost making up stories. No, you say, but it's the truth. So the silly season this year actually has a semblance of the truth, and it's a most amazing time to be a broadcaster.
I love that silly season and made up stories. We've got the queen of imagination over here. DIANN, if you were going to make up a story, what would it be? You can tell us by the end of the show, maybe.
I'll tell you by the end of the show. but I actually was thinking, Ian, I think that happens in our country all the time. So sorry, but we get more editorials than we get news. So.
And by the way, we want to say hello to a friend of our platform, Manoj Suna. Nice to have you with us. It's a pleasure. We interviewed him yesterday. So thanks for joining us. And also a big hello with lots of love to our dear friend, Helena Chard, who is not able to join us today. You are here in spirit with us anyway.
Don't feel too sorry for us because she's in some hot village in Cyprus. Whilst we're ensconced in London, she's in Cyprus sunning herself. So
she had a beautiful tan last week. So
she did.
Yeah.
She's in a lovely country.
As I said to you before, that when I first met Helena, she's like a sundial. I used to sit down with her, perhaps in the park or something, we'd be talking, and every few minutes the chair would change as the direction of the sun would change as well. And sometimes I would end up talking to her back. actually followed the sun round, to enormously. But I mean, she's only going to walk outside, and she's tan, so she always takes a one tan. Bless her.
Did you ever think of changing your chair as she was changing with the?
Well, the trouble with me is I burn too easily. So I have to be very, very careful with the sunshine as well. Like a lot of people that I sometimes I forget. So I mean, when I met you in Florida, and you can imagine it, for me, walking around where we were at the time. It was something like about 80 degrees, I think it was, and that is hot for us.
That sounds lovely to me.
Me too. Hotter the better.
To you, but it is, to me, that is hot.
Yes, it's also relative, isn't it?
It's one of our most highly viewed episodes, believe it or not, when you and I were broadcasting together from there. That was fun.
I know. We should do it again. Well, when you're in London, hopefully this year, then we'll actually we can try some more, because we've got a new venue now for our Raw project that I hope you're going to be involved in as well, and that's at the Royal Exchange, and this is a 15th century building that it is nowadays. It's really like a very expensive high-end luxury shopping mall. So come over there, and all the cuisine, and Simon will be interested in this. All the cuisine and the drinks and everything are done by the Queen's, or the King's now, grocery store, Fortnum and Mason. So it's actually festooned in royal history as well.
Fascinating. And you did send me the images of that. It looks beautiful.
It's going to be fun, I'm really looking forward to what's happening at the moment. I think there's going to be a lot of really interesting things happening this year. You know what? It's such an exciting year. Out of all the years that I've known, this year I expected nothing. Apart from working regularly and hopefully enjoying life. I expected nothing at all, and my goodness, the amount of things that have happened to me this year, and it's constant surprises. So apparently on Sunday, I don't know yet, I might be talking to the First Lady of Zimbabwe.
Wow.
She's over here on a private visit, and maybe wanting to sort of talk about tourism as well. So it's like a constant set of surprises. But life is so good at the moment. It really is.
Yay. I'm happy for you. And I have to say, I know we're going to get to some news, but I was really impressed because Ian is amazing at so many things. One of the things that he shared with me is not his favorite is technology. And I was super surprised to see that you were one of the early adopters for the Threads app, the new social media app. I got on there. You were already there. I thought, wow, look how things have changed.
Absolutely right. I thought, I saw this and I thought, do you know what? I know Jacalyn's going to be on there.
Well, it's funny. I was over on the Clubhouse app. I hadn't been on Clubhouse in probably 2 years, and I dropped in about a week ago, and I've gotten some amazing tips from people. I think it's a great place to go. So I think it was Sunday. They were talking about Threads, and I sat through 2 hours of Clubhouse about why we need to be on Threads. So I went over there. I have very few followers, like 200 and something, and everyone in the Clubhouse room had 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. And I don't know what I was doing wrong. But anyway, we don't stream there. So I'm not going to be spending a lot of time there. But it is a good way to meet new people and to support other people's work.
I think so. And I think it's one of these periods where so much is going on, so much new technology. We're looking forward to working with you on fast channels as well. And I think we're getting closer to an agreement with that at the moment. We're just going through contracts right now. But I think, you know, it is such an incredibly fast world now, isn't it? And technology is changing all the time. It's improving all the time. And I think I feel I've got to delve into the world of artificial intelligence, probably because I don't have much of my own. So,
that's not true.
so perhaps some sort of artificial intelligence might sort of make me a little bit more understanding about sometimes what's going on in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's another topic that we could talk about. We're not talking about anything to do with the United Kingdom news and culture. We could have a whole show just on ChatGPT. I was introduced to it by one of our team members, and I've used it for so many things. I can't even tell you. It's like having 10 assistants.
Mm.
Yeah. And so you know, it is. So, well, as I was saying to you before, at the moment I am studying King Charles. And at the moment, by the time we really start filming our new project, probably in August or early September, at the moment I've got 90 factoids about King Charles now, and some of them, as I was just saying to you before we came on air, were quite revealing, and probably not the best thing to sort of talk about on air. But I mean, some of the strange stories that he was involved in, and some of the things that he does now, is quite unbelievable. But I thought one of the things that really tickled me the other day when I was researching anything to do with Charles was that Tom Parker Bowles, well, now he's now, Charles is, I suppose, now the stepfather of Tom Parker Bowles, and who is the son of Queen Camilla. And he when he was growing up, he thought Charles' Christian name was Sir. And the reason why he thought that Charles's Christian name was Sir, because everybody called him Sir. So he assumed that was his Christian name to call him by.
That's funny.
So I mean, you get sort of some of these strange things that are going on, and I think very, very early on, I got a quote from Charles as well, and this was on the eve of his 30th birthday, and he was giving a talk at Cambridge University. My problem in life is that I do not really know what my role in life is. Well, boy, does he know it now.
That's funny.
Yeah, and he's got no prospects of promotion now either.
Top.
Yeah.
Well, we saw here in the news that our president here in the United States, Joe Biden, was visiting with King Charles and also with your prime minister. Any feedback, anything you heard about those meetings?
I think a lot, actually, at the moment. In reality, Britain is hoping for a really strong trade agreement with the United States. And it was one of the main policies given by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, that he had almost an oven-ready deal with the United States, and how we coming out of the European Union, we'll be able to do these special deals, and that everything will be okay, and that everything was going well. And then what's happened? Zero is reality what happened. And we think at the moment, the reality is that because the Irish question hasn't been addressed yet properly by the British government, and so Stormont, which is where the Northern Ireland government are based, are not sitting. And this is really down to the DUP not wishing to sort of share any responsibilities with Sinn Féin. That that basically President Biden, who is very, very Irish focused, we think a lot of the time, won't give us a trade agreement until that is settled. But that they've made such a mess of the Northern Ireland Accords at the moment, saying when Boris Johnson first started talking about Northern Ireland in the context of coming out of Brexit, he said everything will be fine, and if there were any trade regulations, extra trade regulations, just to tear them up and throw them in the waste paper basket. And I'm sure Simon in a second can probably give a lot more information about really the bureaucracy now that we are facing because of coming out of the EU.
Simon?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, before, I mean, if you picture it, one truckload of live shellfish going out of Scotland and into Europe would involve one sheet of paper basically as a dispatch note for that truckload going out. Now the truckload might have 100 separate consignments on it going to different customers in Europe. So now that we've left Europe through Brexit, that one truckload now has to carry 7 sheets of paper, 7 separate documents for each consignment. So a lorry going over, he's got 700 documents that have to be gone through at the border control post once as soon as it lands in France. So it's all that paperwork costs a huge amount of money to administer and to dish out, and the slightest error on the paperwork, the whole consignment gets sent back. And I don't just mean the one consignment out of the 100, it's the whole lorry load gets sent back. That's one of the crosses we've got to bear with Brexit. It has slowed the whole process down considerably. And also, I mean, the staff to staff the border control points, we actually haven't got enough qualified personnel to do that, and neither do they have that on the other side of the channel as well. So, all that just at the grassroots is causing major problems, and a lot of the UK producers and suppliers won't actually send into Europe now because it has become so complicated, and so this has caused a lot of businesses to crumble. So it's it's not a pleasant scenario. So it's we've got to muddle through and do the best we can. And a lot of my work has been involved in just purely firefighting the issues that we have with with border control. This is why I'm so keen that the American market should open up, because I mean, what an opportunity! Before Brexit, over 70% of our exports went into Europe, and that's now dropped down to about 20%. So there's a big hole there waiting to be filled. And, everybody that I've spoken to in America are just desperate to get product in from Scotland. So, come on, bring it on. Our government seems to be hell-bent on destroying our economy, and they're doing a marvelous job of it as well. I mean, inflation's way up and everything else. It's, it's a bit of a mess, really. But there we are. But still, it's a sunny day here now. We did have some considerable showers earlier on. I thought it wasn't the tide coming in today; it was the tide was coming down. But anyway, the sunshine has now it's still there, and it's still still beaming through the windows. So it's not all doom and gloom, especially if you're in the west coast of Scotland. Sorry, Ian, it's a bit dull where you are.
Every week you do this to me, Simon.
It's a weather competition, weather or food.
Every single week, And do you know what? Every Wednesday it always seems to be gloomy in London. I don't know whether
it looks sunny. The sun's shining on you.
Well, the sun can be shining. It's a very sort of strange phenomenon. I've got a feeling there's some Scottish wizard doing something about the weather on a Wednesday afternoon.
My lovely golden retriever Isla has been known to do the rain dance frequently, and I'm actually in discussions just now with a very good friend down south who said, "Would you stop that dog doing the Ginger Rogers bit here? It is boring in Yorkshire."
Simon, on a different topic, I have a question for you. Diane and I were having a chat about the impacts on the ocean creatures with the wind turbines in the oceans, and where I am, they're going to be putting them not that far away. What have you heard about any impacts on the ocean sea creatures?
How long have we got?
I remember you talking about the crabs. That was very interesting.
Well, that's just one of the problems. The problem is not so much in the structures; it's actually the power cables coming ashore that's creating a big problem with the electromagnetic field that's created around these cables. And this has been proved now to be coming up and showing anomalies in issues with shellfish in particular, but we're also getting the same problem now with juvenile fish and haddock and so on as well. So it's not very nice. Other problem we've got here just now as well. I mean, they have announced that global warming is now, climate change is getting out of control, but the waters around the UK have risen by 4 degrees in temperature. So this is having a big effect on a lot of species of fish. The fish farming industry are starting to get a little bit anxious about it just now as well, because the water temperature around our shores has risen considerably. And 4 degrees centigrade is actually quite a lot, and that's going to be about 6 or 7 degrees Fahrenheit of an increase in water temperature. So it's significant. But the wind turbines themselves, well, one of my pet hates, have been really beating the drum about this, because there's plans in the North Sea to put another 19,000 of these wind turbines in there. And when it comes to all the eco-friendliness and the recycling and so on, these wind turbines, the blades, which have got to be replaced every 5 or 6 years, are non-recyclable. The whole thing just seems to be totally badly thought out. So when they're installing these wind turbines as well, then of course there's a lot of disruption going on the seabed. So if you're a fish, then the only thing I can suggest to you, fish, just get the hell out of there until they've got these things in place, and then come back once all the sound's settled and so on, which will take time. So it is something that is a major concern to the ecology that's going on in our seabeds. And an awful lot of the people who are planning behind this see the seabed out of sight, out of mind, and that's it. Just put these things in. In the UK, the problem is all these wind turbines going in. We haven't got the infrastructure ashore in our national grid to cope with all this extra power. So the whole thing is just a bit Keystone Cops in many respects.
Thank you, Simon. I'm just wondering if anyone here knows where the first wind turbines were installed, when that was, and if there's been any analysis as to the long-term impact.
Well, that'd be an interesting one to check out, because I mean, these things, wherever you go now, and if you're flying in anywhere in Europe, you're going over a lot of these. The gamekeepers in Scotland call them pheasant shredders, because the number of birds that fly into them, and that's it, gone. There are numerous issues about it. A big thing going on just now as well. Should they have more of these wind turbines ashore? And it's the NIMBY thing, not in my backyard, please. Put them out at sea. Nobody sees them. Out of sight, out of mind, yet again.
And yet those will be the same people who are very much environmentally conscious. And what happens in the sea affects all of us too. So it's quite disturbing. Yeah. I don't think they've done their homework, basically.
No, they've got a lot of other homework still to do on it. I mean, I remember I was at a conference a few years ago, and the MD of a company that makes these wind turbines actually got up and stated is that the amount of energy it takes to make one of these wind turbines is about twice the amount that it will ever produce in its 15-year lifespan. So I thought, well, what a waste of time that is, right?
Oh my goodness, great!
Wow, that's insane.
A huge amount of energy goes into making one of those things.
That doesn't even talk about trucking them to wherever their
Right.
destination is,
I mean,
right?
that's it. The carbon footprint of all the infrastructure, in particular on land, the roads that they've got to put in and to deliver them and to service them. At sea, the amount of work involved in shipping, and occasionally having to use explosives on the seabed as well to get through rock. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It really is.
It
You might
seems
have
to
got the idea
me,
that I'm not in favour of these things.
yeah.
Try tidal energy. The wind doesn't always blow. I mean, I see these things and they're sitting there doing nothing for lengthy periods of time. And then other times, and the wind's blowing too strong. And so they're doing nothing because they can't cope with that wind speed, so they put the brakes on them. But the tide comes in and out twice a day. It's a constant all year round. Tidal energy does make a lot more sense. And you've got a structure that can be built ashore, taken out, dropped onto the seabed, anchored, and that's it. And then the cables are done. But then we've still got the cable issue. So maybe they get a Wi-Fi version of it. I don't know.
It seems to me that the amount of money that's spent on fixing a turbine, I was just looking it up, that to replace one blade can cost up to $350,000 per day as they're working on it. And it seems to me that we have enough intelligent people around the world that we could pay them to figure out how to do your idea, Simon, with the tides coming in and out, because I don't know anybody who wouldn't turn down $350,000 per day.
I think we're in the wrong business. We have to cancel the show. We've got to go.
Yeah. How many people's electricity bills does that $350,000 a day represent? And that's one of 3 blades that goes onto the thing as well. So it's an awful lot of money being spent on these, and I don't see a long-term future for them. There will be something else comes in, and hopefully one day people will say, well, if you've got to put anything offshore, use the tide, because that is always there. The sun shines sometimes, it doesn't in London, it does here. And the wind blows sometimes, it does here, might not do it in London all that often, but the tide is always going in and out.
In and out, in and out.
Point. Ian, do you have anything to offer to that?
No, I was just thinking at the moment, you see that the problem in Britain right now is we really can't decide what we want as an energy policy. Basically, that they've been talking again about creating more nuclear sites, which is something that the Green Party is very much against. These wave methods are being talked up all the time, as well as a sort of a future economy. But the problem right now is that it's all part of really a future that is being talked about, but doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. And I think the reality at the moment with Britain is that we have to find our way out of several problems. One of them obviously is energy. And at one stage, when we were running out of energy last year, then we were having to buy energy in at some phenomenal rates from elsewhere. And so, Britain, through Brexit, again, was supposed to be able to deal with all these things from now on for ourselves. And yet we seem to be very, very isolated as well. And coming back to Biden, your President Biden, I think, the reality with him is that how to engage with America, I think, is so important. But I don't think a lot is going to happen personally until there's a potential change of government going to be happening in 2024, because the opposition party, the Labour Party, the socialists in Britain are really starting to sort of pull away in popularity from the Conservative Party. And it may be then that we see a whole different aspect to how things are going to happen in Britain. We need change, and we desperately need more trade. That's for certain. We look at America, and okay, I know you've got a deficit of trillions, but it seems in some ways, and it'd be interesting to find out what the two of you feel. It seems that America seems to be pulling itself out and moving forward again with the economy. But how do you feel?
Well, I tend not to talk about politics too much, but the economy, they say, depending on which channels you listen to, is improving. Part of it is, coming out of COVID, so it makes it look good. But as far as the pocketbook, it is stated 85. Yesterday it came out that 85% of the country thinks we're on the wrong path, and that has to do with the economy.
Do you think you're borrowing too much? Because there's I forget what I mean. It's what do we? I mean, the British economy, our deficit, our GDP is 2.3 trillion, which is bigger than more money than we actually make each year. Mm-hmm. So someone has been robbing a piggy bank or something somewhere to actually try and square the circle on this one. But I think you've got an even larger deficit in America. I think I remember this figure, but I'm sure I probably misheard it. Someone said it's something like about 20 trillion. That is the deficit. But I know Americans, they like to spend big.
It's not just that. I mean, going 3 presidents back, I believe it could be 4. We were printing money that we didn't have, and that's not a good thing, because eventually you have to stop printing money that you don't have and pay your debts. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but something that we need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I would add is there's so much press and so many articles that are being written about lawsuits and people who are not necessarily doing the right thing. And so I think people get all caught up in that. Maybe it's trying to pull us away from thinking about the economy. I'm not sure. But Diane, you know what I'm referring to.
Absolutely know what you're referring to. But and back to the UK and the trade agreement. I wish we could figure all that out, and maybe I'm sure it's the people in charge of the trade agreements here in the US, as well as y'all, that they're speaking to each other. That's part of Biden's cabinet. But I know many of us would just love to read on our tags, made in England. I actually am trying to buy a lot of things that say made in the USA, and I'd be really happy to go into the stores and it said made in England, or the fish came from Scotland, or Wales, or Northern Ireland. I'll take you all.
We still have a lot of stuff made, comes across you that says made in Scotland and so on. It usually comes in a bottle, and it's quite a nice amber color.
Trust me, when my daddy was here on Earth, it all came from Scotland almost.
I do have a question. I have to spotlight Simon. So we always see your carafe of, what is that back there?
That's port, which is going down.
That's what I was going to ask, if the amount of consumption has increased.
Nothing to do with me.
It's not Isla, is it?
That's what I was thinking. Isla's been nipping it.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, and doing a rain dance even more vigorously now.
That sounds like a children's book for adults.
Yes. Ian, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say that in reality, we're hearing that America's becoming a lot more protectionist now. And that it was a subject that was brought up. I do a political show as well, and we were discussing it on Monday, how a lot of other countries in the EU are now becoming a lot more right-wing and protectionist minded. And I wonder if it's the type of thing that is there major sales drives in America, for example, to say buy American?
Yes, I would say so.
I think so.
Like I said, I go to this
thing.
one site and it has a whole list of everything made in America, and I check to see if they have what I'm looking for before I look somewhere else. So,
do you want to share that site, Diane? That would be interesting.
Sure. Don't have it off the top of my head, but I can
look it up in the comments later.
Yeah. And I think every country should, support their people and anything that's made there, as well as, of course, things made from other countries, because we're all humans. We need to share the planet and be kind to one another. So obviously, I'm not for war.
Yeah, but one great export you've got just now is people. We have a lot of American accents in Scotland just now. We're having a good tourist season here, and it's lovely to see more and more Americans coming back here again. Because we really missed you guys. We need your money. That's what it's all about. But no, it's really nice to see the Americans coming back here again, and there's plenty of you coming as well. So that's a good thing. We've actually had quite a good tourist season here all round. There's a lot of you see the registration plates on or license plates you call on the cars there. With a lot of Germans, a lot of Dutch, a lot of French, and the Italians who don't normally come here until towards the end of the season. I mean, they've been a steady stream of them right the way through as well. So it's been most welcome. We can't tell though which car has Americans in it, because you don't have a ferry that pops over to here to bring your own cars across. Apart from that, our roads tend to be a bit narrow as well once you get into the but no, it's just so nice to see. I mean, I'm going to the town of Oban tomorrow. Oban is a beautiful town. It's the gateway to the islands, and it's the ferry terminals there go to a lot of the Inner Hebridean and the Outer Hebridean islands. Beautiful town. And the moment this time of the year when I come to trying to park my car, well, it's not such a beautiful town then. Trying to find a parking spot is very difficult. But walking around there, though, it's the American accent. It just gets me. I thought, yeah, that's it. It must be USA Global TV really working and doing well now. This show's got a lot to answer for.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. We have just a few minutes left, which I can't believe how quickly the show went by. Ian, any more news that you have, or Simon, any news that you have from abroad?
I think, at the moment with Charles and Camilla, it's they will soon be going to Balmoral now, if they're not there already. And I think it's going to be an interesting year for Charles now. I can see he's trying very hard. I think it's the same with William and Kate as well, where they're all trying very, very hard to create a right impression and really make all of Britain feel welcome and talk to the people on the ground as well. The thing that I haven't heard about recently, and dare I mention the word Meghan, is that Meghan and Harry seem to have dropped right out of circulation at the moment. So I just wonder whether there's any Americans that, or is there stories in America that we're not hearing about in Britain about Harry and Meghan?
It's only negativity that I hear.
Nothing positive.
Nothing positive at all.
So do you think you think that Harry and Meghan are they receiving the same accolades in America as they did before?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, very disliked. My heart breaks for Harry. So.
Okay,
you've turned him into a camel.
that
He's
way
really got the
before.
hump now.
That was a good one, Simon.
That was good.
Well, it's time for us to go around and share our final message for today. So I'm going to start with Simon.
Oh dear, here we go again. Well, I mean, from today, I mean, I'm looking at your banner there about you being the listener, Dr. Jacalyn. So we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak.
Yes,
Oh,
I love that.
bravo.
Bravo. Thank you.
That was brilliant.
Ian, over to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to read you a quote. And this was the first televised appearance after the death of the Queen by Charles. And I think it's quite apt, this quote. He said that Queen Elizabeth's life was well lived, a promise with destiny kept. The promise of lifelong service I renew to all of you today. And I think that was probably the most apt phrase that will resonate with the people in Britain.
Thank you. Diane, over to you.
Goodness, how do you top those
And
things?
you were,
No, there
you were
was-
going to share a fake story that you came up with your imagination.
I got so carried away with listening that I forgot that I'm supposed to do that. But to all our listeners, thank you so much for being here. We love you so much. Helena, we miss you. And based on what we've talked about today, I'm like, come on, America, let's do some trading with the UK.
Thank you, Diane. And for me, I just want to give a shout out to a dear departed friend, Mr. Philip Chan, who brought so many people to this platform. And yesterday it kind of came full circle. He introduced me to Philip Sykes, I believe, who introduced me to Dr. Justina Motali. And yesterday, our team, Dr. Madeline Chan and Carolyn Hewitt and I, we actually taught the power of listening to students in Zambia. And the feedback that we got was overwhelmingly positive. We've been invited to come back next week. And so I just want people to realize the power of connection. And when someone opens a door to give you an opportunity, please walk through that door and take that opportunity to embrace it. You never know where it's going to lead. So that's what I just want to share. And of course, you all here on the screen with me are very good at networking and very good at making introductions. And I thank you for that as well.
You're welcome.
All right. We will be back with episode 76 next week. Right now, we're going to start our next program, which is Global Social Entrepreneurs. But before we do that, a big shout out to our official VIP sponsor, DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, who is out there every day. I feel like she's writing a book every day. I don't know. It's absolutely, it's absolutely incredible. So let's take a look at one of Diane's sponsorships, and we wish you a beautiful day. Stay with us for our next program. Bye, everyone.
Bye now.
Oh, who's the producer on this
I
show?
like that. I love that song. Go for
That's
it.
the wrong one. All right, here we go. Retake.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
DIANN FLOYD BOEHM's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com.